The suitcase hit the pavement at 11:47 p.m. Charcoal to me. Monogrammed. $800. It landed hard enough that the lock burst, spilling silk blouses across wet concrete. Simone Ashford watched from the hotel entrance. Did not rush forward. Did not cry out. Just stood there, rain misting her face, her expression carved from something colder than marble. The concierge, Ryan, his name tag read, dusted his hands. "I told you," he said. "We don't have your reservation." Behind him, the lobby of the Colton glowed warm and golden. Chandeliers, marble floors, a fireplace crackling beside leather chairs where a white couple sipped wine, barely glancing up. Simone's voice came quiet, controlled. "Check again." "Ma'am, I've checked 3 times. There's no reservation under Ashford. And frankly, given the current situation, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises." Current situation. Translation: a black woman in jeans and a hoodie, soaked from the rain, insisting she belonged in a hotel where rooms started at $2,000 a night. "My luggage," Simone said, "is right there." Ryan gestured to the street. "If you'd like to file a complaint, you can email our corporate office. But you can't stay here." She looked at him. Really looked. 26, maybe. Pomaded hair. Suit that fit too well for what they probably paid him. The kind of man who'd practiced authority in mirrors. "I see," she said. And she turned. Not toward her luggage. Toward the street. She walked 3 blocks in the rain before she made the call. 16 hours earlier, the private jet touched down at Luggage at 6:22 a.m. Simone had slept through most of the flight from Sao Paulo, a rare luxury. 3 weeks touring construction sites for the new resort development had left her running on espresso and 40-minute naps. Now, back in New York, she had 72 hours before the next board meeting. 72 hours to be invisible. No assistants. No security. No driver holding a sign with her name. Just Simone. She dressed for anonymity. Black jeans, gray hoodie, white sneakers. Hair in a simple ponytail. Carry-on and 1 check bag. At baggage claim, a man in a business suit had stepped in front of her, cutting the line. She'd let him. In the taxi, the driver had asked if she was visiting family. Something like that, she'd said. He'd nodded, satisfied, and spent the ride complaining about traffic. The Colton Hotel rose 43 stories above Midtown. Glass and steel and old money elegance. Simone had bought the Penthouse 18 months ago, a shell space, gutted to studs, waiting for renovation. She paid $1.2 million in cash. The purchase was buried under 3 LLC layers. The name on the deed, Ashford Holdings Group. The contact listed, her lawyer. The hotel staff had no idea who owned the Penthouse. That was the point. Simone arrived at 9 a.m., rolling her suitcase through the gold-trimmed entrance. The lobby smelled like lilies and wealth. She approached the desk. A young woman looked up, smiled. The smile thinned. "Can I help you?" "I'm checking in. Penthouse suite." A pause. "I'm sorry. The Penthouse. I have a reservation." The woman, name tag, said Jenna, typed slowly. Frowned. "What name?" "Simone Ashford." More typing. The frown deepened. "I'm not seeing anything. It should be there. Reservation was made 3 weeks ago." Jenna leaned closer to the screen. "We don't. The Penthouse isn't available for reservations. It's privately owned." "I know." "Then." Jenna's eyes flicked to Simone's hoodie, her scuffed sneaker. "Are you sure you have the right hotel?" Simone's jaw tightened. "Barely. Very sure. Let me get my manager." The manager was Ryan. He arrived with the energy of someone already annoyed. Looked Simone up and down. "What's the issue?" Jenna explained. Ryan took over the keyboard, his fingers loud on the keys. "Yeah, there's no reservation. And the Penthouse is owner-occupied. Private. I'm aware. So, you can't check in there." Simone pulled out her phone, opened her email, turned the screen toward him. Confirmation. Sent from her lawyer's office to the hotel's executive team. Clear instructions. Simone Ashford would be staying in the Penthouse for 3 nights. Keys to be ready upon arrival. Ryan squinted at the screen. "This says, Ashford Holdings Group." "That's correct. Are you, like, an employee?" Simone's smile was glass. "Something like that. Well, I can't just give you access to a privately owned residence without verification from the owner. That's policy. The email could be faked. Look, if you're really supposed to be here, have the owner call down. Otherwise," he shrugged. "Otherwise, leave." Simone breathed slowly. In. Out. She could make the call. Could have her lawyer contact the hotel's GM. Could pull rank. But something stopped her. She wanted to see how far this would go. Fine, she said. I'll wait in the lobby while you verify. Actually, hotel policy says non-guests can't loiter. If you want to wait, there's a coffee shop across the street. Non-guests. Jenna looked uncomfortable. Ryan, maybe we should just... She doesn't have a reservation, Jenna. I'm not bending policy because she has a fake email. Simone picked up her suitcase handle. I'll be back, she said quietly. She sat in the coffee shop for 6 hours. Made calls. Worked on her laptop. Watched the hotel entrance. At 8 p.m., she returned. Ryan was still there. Different suit. Same expression when he saw her. Did the owner call? Simone asked. No one called. Then let me call them. Right now. In front of you. Ryan sighed. Ma'am, one call. You verify. I check in. This ends. Or, Ryan said slowly, you're running some kind of scam. Identity theft. Squatting. We've had issues before. Simone stared at him. You think I'm scamming my way into a penthouse? I think you need to leave. I paid for this room. No, someone named Ashford Holdings paid. Not you. The air between them went cold. Leave now, Ryan said, or I call the police. Simone didn't move. Ryan pulled out his phone, and that's when she turned and walked out. That's when he followed. That's when he grabbed her suitcase from her hand and threw it into the street. Simone stood in her lawyer's apartment at midnight, wrapped in a borrowed robe, her phone on speaker. He did what? David's voice crackled with disbelief. Threw my luggage into the street. Told me I was trespassing. Silence. Then, Simone, I sent that email myself. Confirmed with the GM's office. I know what it is. David exhaled. I can have someone there in 20 minutes. Get you into the penthouse. Have him fired by morning. No. No. Simone looked out the window. The city below, sleepless and indifferent. I want to know how deep it goes. What does that mean? I want to see what happens when I come back tomorrow. As myself. A pause. You're not seriously. Give me a meeting with the GM. 10 a.m. Don't tell them who I am. Just say a potential investor wants to tour the property. Simone. Can you do it? Another pause. Longer. Yes. But for the record, I think this is a bad idea. Noted. She hung up. Spent the next hour on her laptop, pulling records. The Colton's ownership structure. Management contracts. Staff hierarchy. And incident reports. 47 complaints in 3 years. Discrimination. Profiling. A black family denied a reservation due to booking error, despite confirmation numbers. A Latino businessman accused of stealing a room key that was his own. Each complaint buried in legal settlements and NDAs. Simone read every one. By 3 a.m., she wasn't angry anymore. She was focused. At 9:55 a.m., Simone walked back into the Colton. Different clothes this time. Tailored black suit. Hermes bag. Hair blown out, sleek and perfect. Makeup subtle but deliberate. She looked like money. The lobby was quieter in daylight. A pianist played softly near the fireplace. Jenna was at the desk. She glanced up, didn't recognize Simone, and smiled. Good morning. Checking in. Meeting with the GM. 10 o'clock. Of course. Your name. Simone Ashford. No flicker of recognition. The name meant nothing without the context. Jenna called upstairs. Nodded. Hung up. Mr. Winters will be right down. Simone waited. 5 minutes later, a man in his 50s emerged from the elevator. Expensive suit. Practiced smile. Ms. Ashford. Gerald Winters. Pleasure to meet you. His handshake was firm. Professional. I understand you're interested in our property? Very. Wonderful. Let me give you the tour. He led her through the lobby, gesturing like a proud father. The marble, imported from Tuscany. The chandeliers, original 1920s crystal. The concierge desk. Our team is available 24/7. Ryan was there, polishing something, laughing with another staff member. He didn't look up. Simone followed Gerald into the elevator. We pride ourselves on discretion, Gerald said as they ascended. Our clientele values privacy. Celebrities, executives, foreign dignitaries. We ensure they feel safe here. Protected. Protected from what? He smiled. The wrong element. The doors opened on the 43rd floor. The penthouse. Per penthouse. Gerald unlocked the door with a master key. Gestured her inside. It was exactly as she'd left it. Unfinished. Concrete floors. Exposed beams. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. As you can see, the owner is mid-renovation. But the space itself is extraordinary. 3,000 square feet. Private terrace. This kind of property rarely becomes available. Simone walked to the window. The view she'd bought. The city she'd conquered. Who's the owner? I'm not at liberty to say. Privacy agreements. Of course. She turned. And if I wanted to make an offer? Gerald's eyes gleamed. I could facilitate an introduction. How much do you think they'd take? Well, they paid $1.2 million 18 months ago. With the market now, I'd estimate $1.8 million. Minimum. Simone nodded slowly. That's quite a markup. It's New York. She walked through the space, ran her hand along the concrete, stopped at the terrace door. Tell me, Mr. Winters, how do you ensure the right element stays here? He blinked. I'm sorry. You said you protect guests from the wrong element. How do you identify them? Oh, he laughed. Uncomfortable. I just meant we have strict security protocols, background checks for long-term stays, verification processes, and for walk-ins. Walk-ins. Someone who arrives without a reservation. How do you determine if they belong? Gerald shifted. We assess the situation. If someone seems out of place, we follow policy, ask for identification, confirm their story, and if they can't confirm, then we ask them to leave. Simone turned to face him fully. What if they're telling the truth? I'm sorry, I don't. What if someone walks in, claims to have a reservation, shows you proof, and your staff decides they're lying? Gerald's smile was frozen now. That wouldn't happen. It did. Last night. The air changed. I'm not sure I understand. Simone pulled out her phone, opened the photos she'd taken from the street. Her burst suitcase. Her clothes in the rain. Your concierge, Ryan, threw my luggage into the street because he decided I didn't belong. Gerald went pale. I had a confirmed reservation. An email from my attorney. But Ryan decided I was scamming. That I was the wrong element. Ms. Ashford, if there was a misunderstanding, there wasn't. She swiped to another photo. The email. The confirmation. I am Ashford Holdings Group, Mr. Winters. I own this penthouse. And your employee assaulted me on a public street. Gerald's mouth opened. Closed. I'm going to need to review. You're going to need to do more than review. Simone's voice was surgical. Precise. You're going to pull every incident report from the last 5 years. You're going to identify every staff member involved in profiling guests. And you're going to fix this. I assure you, we don't tolerate. You do? You have. For years. She walked past him, toward the elevator. My lawyer will be in touch. We'll discuss appropriate consequences. Ms. Ashford, please. The elevator doors closed. The lawsuit was filed within 48 hours. Not just against Ryan. Against the Colton. Against the management company. Against every layer of authority that had allowed the culture to fester. Simone didn't want money. She wanted transparency. The legal filings demanded all incident reports, all discrimination complaints, all internal communications regarding guest verification protocols. Her legal team was a machine. Precise. Relentless. Within a week, 3 major news outlets had picked up the story. The headlines were brutal. Luxury hotel owner denied entry to her own property. The Colton faces discrimination lawsuit after black woman profiled by staff. Pattern of bias alleged at Midtown's premier hotel. The Colton's PR team tried to control the damage. Issued a statement about isolated incidents and immediate corrective action. But Simone's lawyer leaked the incident reports. 47 complaints. Patterns so clear they could have been highlighted in neon. The public response was immediate. 2 corporate conferences canceled bookings. A celebrity couple checked out mid-stay, citing ethical concerns. Online reviews plummeted. And the board that oversaw the Colton's management demanded answers. Gerald Winters called Simone directly. She let it go to voicemail twice before answering. Ms. Ashford, I want to apologize. Personally, what happened to you was unconscionable. Simone said nothing. Ryan has been terminated. We're implementing mandatory bias training for all staff. Revised protocols. Independent oversight. Is that all? A pause. I'm not sure what else. You've had 47 complaints, Mr. Winters. 47 people who were humiliated, profiled, turned away. What are you doing for them? Silence. We're reviewing each case individually. Not good enough. Ms. Ashford, here's what's going to happen. You're going to establish a fund. $1 million. For every person who filed a complaint and signed an NDA, they'll be released from those agreements and compensated. $1 million. You'll also hire an independent firm to audit your practices. Quarterly reports. Public. If I see another incident like mine, I'll buy this hotel outright and fire everyone. Gerald's breathing was audible. You can't. I can. I have the resources. Test me. She hung up. 3 weeks later, Simone stood in the penthouse again. This time, the door was opened by her own contractor. The renovation was back on schedule. Walls going up. Fixtures being installed. She walked to the window. The view hadn't changed. Central Park stretched green and endless below. Her phone buzzed. A text from David. Colton agreed to all terms. Fund established. Audit begins next month. She didn't smile, just nodded to herself. Another text. Also, you got a letter. Forwarding now. The email arrived seconds later. A scanned image. Handwritten. Shaky letters. Ms. Ashford, my name is Keisha Monroe. I was denied a room at the Colton 2 years ago. They said their system was down, but I heard the manager tell someone I didn't look like their usual clientele. I signed an NDA because I needed the money. I've regretted it ever since. Thank you for fighting. For all of us. Keisha. Simone read it twice. Then she opened her contacts. Scrolled to a name she hadn't called in months. Her mother answered on the first ring. Baby. Hey mama. You sound tired. I am. But good tired? Simone looked out at the city. At the place she'd fought to claim. Yeah. Good tired. I saw the news. That hotel. You okay? I'm fine. Simone. Really? I'm fine. Her mother was quiet a moment. Then, you know what your grandmother used to say? Don't just open the door for yourself. Wedge it open so others can walk through. Simone closed her eyes. I remember. Good. Now come visit. You haven't been home in 4 months. Soon. I promise. They talked for 20 more minutes. Small things. Family things. When Simone hung up, the contractor was waiting. Ms. Ashford? We need your approval on the master bath tile. She followed him through the space, making decisions, adjusting plans. By evening, she was alone again. She stood on the terrace as the sun set, the city turning gold and shadow. Her phone buzzed one more time. An email. From an address she didn't recognize. Subject. Thank you. She opened it. Ms. Ashford, you don't know me, but I'm a concierge at a hotel in Chicago. I heard what you did. I've been too afraid to speak up about things I've seen. Guests treated differently. Assumptions made. But I'm going to now. Because you showed me it's possible. Thank you. Simone didn't reply. She didn't need to. She saved the email. Added it to a folder she'd created. Voices. There were 11 messages in it now. From hotel workers, former guests, people she'd never met. All of them saying the same thing. You made me braver. She closed the laptop, poured herself a glass of wine, and stood on her terrace, her penthouse, her space, her city, and let herself breathe. The fight wasn't over. It never would be. But tonight, she'd won. Not just for herself. For every black woman who'd been dismissed, doubted, denied. For Keisha, signing an NDA because she had no choice. For the concierge in Chicago, finding her voice. For her grandmother, who'd wedged doors open her whole life. Simone raised her glass to the skyline. This one's for you, she whispered. The city didn't answer. But it didn't need to. She was already home. 2 months later, the Colton's audit report was published. Sweeping changes. Staff overhauls. New policies. Simone received a copy. Read it once. Filed it away. Her penthouse was finished by then. Gorgeous. Sleek. Everything she'd envisioned. She hosted her first dinner there on a Saturday night. Close friends. Her mother, David, and his husband. They ate, laughed, toasted. And when her mother pulled her aside on the terrace, eyes shining, she said, your grandmother would be so proud. Simone hugged her. Held on. I hope so. I know so, baby. Look what you built. Simone looked. Not just at the penthouse. At the life. The fight. The future she was creating. Yeah, she said softly. I did. And for the first time in weeks, she let herself rest. Unbothered. Unshaken. Exactly where she belonged.